It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and New York, New York. A city so nice they named it twice. And this is CarEdge Live for Tuesday, February 10th, with your hosts, me, Ray, here in Ventnor City, and well, Zach in New York. How the hell are you today, handsome?
I forgot my razor at home, so kind of dealing with that. The hair is going a little crazy this morning. I'm feeling a little all over the place, but you know what, Dad? I'm glad to be here with you. Today's show is brought to you by CarEdge.com. And
yes,
for those of you that are tuning in, I encourage you go to CarEdge.com/dealers. This is brand new. It may break on you today. Okay, this is like super, super new. I'm only going to keep it up for a couple seconds. Just check it out. Just check it out. You can come here. You can see all sorts of information about car dealerships, what fees they're adding, what their doc fee is. You can see other people who have gotten OTD quotes from dealers. Play around on this website. Share some feedback in the comments today here on the live show. This is brand new. Literally just went up like an hour ago. So lots of things work in process. Call it a beta. But CarEdge.com/dealers. That'll take you to this page, and you can even learn a bit more on our reports, and you can see how we're thinking about working with dealers as well, which is super interesting. So check that out. Share your comments in the chat. Now, Dad, the big topic for today's show, 120-month car loans.
yes.
This is becoming more and more common, which is super concerning. I'm going to come here to your LOCcreditunion.com. And what do you see on this chart, Dad? 2023 to 2026 vehicles, 7.9%. up to 120 months. This comes on the other side of all sorts of conversations at NADA, the National Automobile Dealers Association conference. What is the best way to handle the vehicle affordability issue? Auto finance leaders weigh in. Well, one way to handle it, Dad, would be 120-month car loans to make things affordable. While you're talking about that, I'm turning a fan on. They got the heat going crazy here today.
Well, I'm so glad they've got heat in New York City. 120-month car loans is... well, I would say that's about as dumb as it gets. But my guess is that at some point in the not too distant future, we won't be talking about 10-year car loans. We'll be talking about 12 and 14 and 15-year car loans. The idea of making vehicles affordable payment-wise by extending the loan term is just sheer folly. It will destroy people's economic buying power in the future because they will be locked into these 10, 12, 15-year car loans for a very long time. If you do that to your customer, you're assuring yourself, especially in a 10-year note, that you probably can't see that customer again to get them out of that 10-year note in, I don't know, 7, 8 years. And I think realistically, to continue to grow your business, you'd probably prefer to have your customers come back every 3 to 4 years, not every 7 to 8 years. It's just in my world.
So these executives, Dad, these leaders in auto finance, I'm going to share some of their responses when asked about how to make vehicles more affordable.
Yes.
We'll start here. This is Robert Christini, Senior Vice President of Sales at CRIF Select. Vehicle affordability won't be solved by rates alone. From a lender perspective, the most effective approach is disciplined credit expansion paired with smarter structuring, including longer loan terms and thoughtful use of leasing. Where appropriate, you've got Scott Gunnell, the president of JM&A Group, better understand how long customers plan to own vehicles. As extended ownership cycles become more common, customers are placing greater value on protection that aligns with longer-term use, particularly as vehicle complexity and repair costs continue to rise, with ongoing affordability pressures. Helping customers manage unexpected expenses and reduce financial risk is increasingly important. Clear education and needs-based conversations allow finance managers to match solutions to individual driving habits and ownership plans, supporting a more informed decision and more customer-centered experience. You know, I read both of these, Dad.
Yes.
And it's, okay, we're going to have longer loan terms and we're going to sell more extended warranties. That's what I read there.
Yes.
That's what I just read.
It's as if this was written by the finance people themselves. Yeah, we need to help these people out. We need, if they're going to be keeping their cars 8, 10, 12 years, we need to sell them on the probability that there will be a major repair that's going to come up, and they're going to need an extended service contract for their vehicle. That's all this is. This is a ruse to allow these providers of these products to sell more of them. The idea of burdening people with longer term loans is not the way you're going to grow the economy in the future. It doesn't work like that. You it, it was bad enough when we went to 60 months and then 72 months for extended terms to keep people's payments at some affordable level. You can't just continue to extend the term and expect that there's going to be buy-in from the public, and unfortunately there probably will be, but you are forcing your customers to have to keep that car forever. I don't know. I used to see my customers every 2, 3, 4 years when I first started in the business because they could get out of a car every 2, 3, 4 years. Now they can't. And there is some question as to the quality and the longevity of some of the vehicles that are actually being produced out there. So do you really want to burden them with a 10-year note and then on top of that sell them a $4,000 extended warranty and other protection packages to help them navigate those major expenses that come up? I mean, I saw that the thing for the 120-month loans was you had to finance a minimum of $50,000.
Yeah.
What's the interest on that? Oh, I mean, okay, so they're looking at 7.9%. Do that on a 10-year loan and see how much interest you're paying on that $50,000 minimum that you can finance.
Let's do it, Dad. So here's the default example when you go to calculator.net. $50,000 vehicle, 60-month loan term. We'll keep the interest rate at 5%, which is quite low. Let's get rid of the down payment. We know a lot of people are not doing that. We'll keep everything else the same, the sales tax, the fees. We'll just keep it all the same for the purposes of this experiment. So $50,000 over a 60-month loan term at these settings has you with 5% interest rate at $943 a month. You're actually spending on that $50,000 car $62,538. What do you think happens here when I make this 120 months and I increase that rate?
Well, you have to increase the rate to 7.9, and the interest amount will probably more than double.
Okay, your $50,000 car, which, to be clear here, your monthly payment's now only $604. Only. You're actually paying back $78,404 for that vehicle.
Yes. Okay, so that's more than half of the original amount financed you're paying back in interest. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's you're paying back $22,480 in interest because you were foolish enough to finance a vehicle for 10 years. And we talk about depreciation, we talk about everything else, we talk about being underwater, negative equity, and people say, well, yeah, but negative equity doesn't matter if you're never planning on trading in the vehicle. Okay, I get that. But were you really planning on keeping the car for 10 years when you originally purchased it? And
do you think many people are, Dad, or do you think that's the trap aspect of this, is that it gets them into a payment that feels affordable, but then ultimately sets them up for failure down the line?
Well, my experience was that people try to get out of cars every 3 to 4 years, okay? And so that if you're trapping them into a 10-year note, they can't get out of it every 3 to 4 years, even if they wanted to. The amount that they would still owe is significant. If we think that the amount of negative equity associated with trades today at 60 months, 72 months, 84 month financing is a staggering amount, and I believe the average was over $6,500, and that 20% of the people are $10,000 negative on the value of their car compared to what is still owed on it. that number will seem tiny 4 years into a 10-year note when somebody comes in and says, okay, I think I'd like to trade out of it. And you're looking at the situation and they have $20,000 in negative equity. What are you going to do with that? You can't just roll that into the next loan. So you're setting your business up for failure by doing this, because your customer can't come back to you and buy another car. They can't go anywhere and buy another car.
What's interesting, Dad, is at the same time that you're describing what's going to happen in the future, we have the latest data on January sales, and it's not a pretty sight. You can see here, this comes from Cox Automotive. January data reveals a cautious start to 2026, with competing forces shaping dealer outlooks. New vehicle sales softened 3.5% year over year to 14.9 million seasonally adjusted rate. This is the lowest I've seen this number in a long time.
Well, yeah, but it's that way because we can talk about affordability, but it was that way because of the major snowstorm at the end of January, which really curtailed sales. Those who can afford to buy are still buying. Okay, it's just there's more and more people out there who cannot afford to buy. The slice of pie is getting thinner and thinner every day. So, is there something that you can look at in these numbers and say to yourselves, this probably isn't going to be a great year new car sales wise? And I look at the numbers and I go, yeah, it'll probably be somewhere between 15.8 million and 16.2 million new vehicles that get sold. And, that seems like a lot of cars. It's nowhere near the 17 or 17 and a half million that had been sold previously a few years back. But what I did look at today that was staggering to me was the Black Book report that came out. And if you compare what's happening to used car wholesale values through the first 6 weeks or 5.5 weeks of the year for 2026 compared to what occurred in 2024 and 2025, the amount of vehicle appreciation during this time frame is significantly more than how 2024 and 2025 started out. So the thought of, well, used car values are going to go down and used car prices are going to go down. They're going to go up because more and more people can't afford the new cars. Scroll down and you will see the beginning chart for the year, and keep going right there. Wholesale weekly price index. Look at 2024, look at 2025, look where those numbers were at the beginning of the year, and look at 2026 and see how the wholesale values have been increasing much earlier this year, by months earlier this year than in years past. So I don't see how that's going to bode well for people out there who can't afford a new car and now are going to have to overpay for that pre-owned car. Hey, it might be good if you have a trade-in. It might be good if you have a vehicle you want to sell. But you look at these numbers, and that's a massive swing in the wrong direction for customers.
What do you think that indicates, Dad? So we know new car sales, again, I'll pull it back up here, new car sales down.
Yes.
We have at the same time affordability pressures everywhere. That was
Yes.
the other article that we were referencing, is that essentially the auto industry and these auto finance leaders are grappling with the reality that people can't afford vehicles. At the same time, the chart that is going up and to the right is used car prices.
Yes.
So how do you reconcile this? Like, what do you?
I think
why?
dealers, both new car dealers, used car dealers, new car dealers in particular, are looking at the expense of the vehicles that they have to sell, and they realize that there is a large percentage of potential customers that they can't satisfy on the new car side, so that they have to grow their pre-owned car business. And they are willing to spend more earlier in the year to try and get ahead of that. And because of that, they realize that their customers can't afford their new cars. But what they will be able to afford is even slightly price increased pre-owned cars, or significantly price increased pre-owned cars, because it'll still be significantly less expensive than that brand new car. So I look at that, and that's what I see. I see dealers saying, the hell with the new car business. That's going to be a struggle. The money to be made is in the switch from new car to used cars. There's that old story about the world's greatest car salesman, and he's on his deathbed. And a young new salesperson says to him, he said, I need some advice. What's the best piece of advice you can give me so I can have a successful career as you have? And almost in his dying breath, he goes, switch them. Okay, you switch them from new to used, because they can't afford that new car, and you're going to switch them into that used car that's going to allow you to make a bigger profit and keep their payment more affordable, and hopefully allow that customer to come back into the market sooner than those new car customers that are entertaining 7, 8, 9, and 10-year financing.
Now, the other story that we talked a bit about yesterday that ties into this directly would be these automakers trying to move quickly to now bring these more inexpensive vehicles to the market. Ford plans to launch 5 new models priced under $40,000 by 2030. We talked about it a bit yesterday, and it's appropriate in the context of this conversation as well. The issue is the last word there, 2030, the number. Yes. I mean, this doesn't solve the pain points that we're experiencing today, which, to your point, is why so many customers are getting switched onto those used cars instead of buying the new ones that they had wanted, which I want to be clear here. We still are advocates for doing a real deep dive and research on if new is a better value than used, because in a lot of cases, I see this comment here from Joseph, new car, never. In many cases, if you're comparing a 1 or 2 year old used car to a new one, the new is going to be a better value right now, because new car sales are lower, inventory has built up. There's still about 500,000 leftover model year vehicles from last year that are new cars that you can get your hands on. They come with a warranty. So I think the calculus here for new versus used has evolved a little bit, but Ford is going to try their best to bring more people back to the new car market by 2030.
Yeah, so okay, that's great. What are they doing? What are they doing between now and then? And you know, if when you were at the NAD convention, what every manufacturer has what they call a make meeting. Okay, and that is that the dealers are brought in for that brand, and then the brand explains what their future plans are.
Yeah, I walked past a bunch of signage for General Motors meetings, Subaru meetings, Ford meetings.
So what I would take from that is when Ford says, gee, we're going to bring out 5 new models under $40,000 by 2030. If you're a Ford dealer, you have to hear that and think to yourself, I need to stock up on used cars.
I got to survive until 2030.
Yes, because you're speaking about how you're going to address it 4 years from now or 3.5 years from now. Well, what are you supposed to do between now and then? So you're going to bid up the prices of used cars earlier in the year than in years past, which means that you're going to ask more for those used cars. And the spread between the price of the used car and the price of the new car might be, or probably will be, significant enough for the people to buy the used because they just can't afford the new. So yeah, you look at those stats, and I don't know how you look at them and draw any other conclusion than people are screwed. Okay, customers are screwed for the next several years when it comes to finding affordable new cars. We know the percentage of vehicles below $30,000 that are offered is lower than it's ever been. So it's got to be used cars, and used car values are spiking earlier in the year than they ever have.
All right, let's switch gears, Dad. I've been working on a project for the past week or so. Again, this is entirely in beta, so take it with a huge grain of salt. However, if you go to caredge.com/dealers and then under reports, click on State of Dealer Fees 2026, we have a really cool report here that I want to share with everyone. As many of you know by now, we built AI agents that contact car dealers to get out the door pricing for CarEdge Pro users. We've got over 33,000 verified out the door price quotes from over 8,700 dealerships in the United States of America. Here's some of the interesting data we're able to find from that. First things first, the number of quotes, the number of dealers. The average doc fee nationwide, Dad, is up to $512. The average add-ons, when dealers add add-ons to an OTD price, $1,206. About half the time there are no add-ons. And we are now scoring every single dealership nationwide for how transparent they are. And you can see the distribution here of scores. So a lot of dealers do operate transparently. And then unfortunately, there are quite a few that could use a little bit of help. I'm going to skip past the transparent dealers for a second here. I want to go to doc fees by state. Again, some of this data needs to be reviewed. For example, the 2 dealers in Washington, D.C. But look at Florida data, a $967 doc fee is the average that we see in Florida. Virginia, $859. Georgia, $826. Look at Maryland's even up there now. It's $757 is the average doc fee. Aren't these stats crazy?
They are crazy. And what's really crazy is I remember when I moved east from Scottsdale and took the job at Tisher Acura when it was Tisher Acura, and that's in Laurel, Maryland. And at that time, the state capped processing fee, which is a doc fee in Maryland, was $100. So most dealers charged $99. And then a couple years later, it was up to $300, and then the $500. And I have no idea what the cap is today. But what you have to realize when you look at those numbers, there is no expense associated with them. That is just extra profit, pure, unadulterated profit for a dealership. So when the dealer says, well, we're selling it to you for $200 below cost, but they're charging you a $999 doc fee. Well, I guess that really means they're still making $800, okay, because that's pure profit. And that's what doc fees represent for dealerships. It's just an additional way for them to make money. I believe California is capped at $85.
Yeah, we've got a couple examples in the data set of dealers going above $85, which again, we'll double check. We'll review every single line item here, but some interesting data to say the least. The most common add-ons, Dad, have you seen this?
No.
The most common add-ons across 32,000 or 33,000 OTDs we've reviewed, accessories. We've seen that 627 times. The average amount for accessories, $1,427. Window tints, the second most common, $540 on average for window tint, 529 times. Window tint with the lifetime warranty. That's actually cheaper at $499 on average, showing up 428 times. Wheel locks are averaging $187, 371 times on that out the door.
Look, tint again.
Tint again, $489. Low jacks averaging $828. Door edge guards for $242. These appearance packages for $745. Mud guards, VIN etch. Isn't this incredible?
Yes, and this is information that ultimately will be exceedingly valuable to a customer, so that you'll be able to compare. If you're let's say you're looking at a Jeep, and it'll allow you to compare your CDJR dealers in your area to see who's adding for accessories, how much their doc fees are, so that you can have a better understanding as to who you want to try and do business with before you ever try to contact them. So this will be really valuable information, and perhaps, perhaps it will shame some dealers into cutting back on what it is that they're doing, because they'll realize that they're just not competitive with other dealers in their area. So it might cause them to take a closer look at what they're doing price wise, especially when this becomes readily available for all people.
Give us another week or so. It's very much in beta right now. If you go to that URL, expect certain things may not work. We're working on updating it, but I just got so excited. I wanted to share it with everyone this afternoon. Dad, that's all I had for today's show. Let's call it a show a little bit early. We're back tomorrow with more CarEdge Live, so please tune in. We'll be here at 12 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, Dad, enjoy the afternoon, and thanks so much for being with us as always.
I've got media engagements coming out of my my ears. I'll be on the radio in Hawaii at 1:40 Eastern time this afternoon, and then I have a TV appearance in Louisville at 3:00. So I'm going to try and figure out how to fold my laundry and eat my lunch before I have to do all those media engagements.